This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is Adam Bighill. Adam, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. I know we kind of been going back and forth, so I'm glad to finally get you on.
Absolutely.
So we got to first talk about you just coming off the Grey Cup. You're champion again for the second time. So what was that like?
Man, there's nothing like it. Winning the championship, it's very special. I mean, especially in pro sports, it's so hard to do. The talent is so high. Getting a collective group of people in-house, an organization that can put together a championship effort, it's rare and it's special. So it was a lot of fun, and it's something you never forget. Yeah.
Now, what do you think? Which one was sweeter, this one or your first one in 2011?
I'd say this one was probably sweeter for me just because in 2011 as a rookie, I was mostly doing special team stuff. And, this one allowed me to be, a lot more of an impact player on the defense and, a leader on the team, and really just gave me more sense of helping the team to a victory.
Yeah, definitely. And what was did you guys have like a parade and stuff?
Yeah, we had a parade Wednesday following the Grey Cup championship. So yeah, it was really well attended. It's pretty cold back up here in Winnipeg, and we still had 15,000 fans out for a nice parade. It was great.
And going back, how did you get involved in football?
I started playing football when I was 7. Started playing tackle football, and it's something my dad played as a young kid and enjoyed it, and he got me into it. I don't know. It's always kind of been an aggressive, physical little kid. I'd be running around at 2 years old, diving off the couch, tackling my dad, or running across the room, sprinting and, tackling him. So it always just seemed like a natural fit for me.
Yeah. Growing up, did you play any other sports?
Yeah, I grew up playing sports year round. I played baseball, basketball, and soccer. So I was pretty busy with sports, but I loved it.
And then coming out of high school, what was the recruiting process like for football?
I was really under-recruited. I was 5'10", 200 pounds, went to a small school, Montesano, Washington, in Washington State, so 1A. We were 2A, and then we dropped down to 1A, so a smaller school. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even rated in the top 150 players in the entire state. So I was really under-recognized. I did happen to go to the Nike regional. I got invited to the Nike regional combine at Oregon, and I went down there and did that. I was named one of the top performers at the camp and at my position at linebacker, and despite that, still was under-recruited. So for me, it was a tough process. Just as scouts and coaches are trying to measure height, weight, and arm length and all that kind of stuff, where the most important thing that they failed to measure on me was my heart, my willingness to do whatever it takes to be successful and a winner.
And I know, so you ended up going to Central Washington. So what was your decision to go there?
At the end of the day, I wanted to find someone that was going to help pay for my school and, allow me to play college football and be that next stepping stone for me on my way to play professional football, which was my ultimate goal. But I said what I wanted to do when I was 7 years old was play professional football, and Central Washington was going to give me the opportunity to do that. So, for me, that it was a easy choice to go to Central. It was a program with a rich tradition. I've gone to summer football camp there the last 4 years with my high school, so I was very familiar with the area and the people. So. I liked it, and it was a good decision for me. We had really good teams, and some really high level players come through there.
Yeah, was there any moment while you were in college that you knew you could play pro football?
It'd probably be like into my junior year, like after my sophomore year, I had a really, really solid campaign, and other in the playoffs, other schools were, kind of other coaches had told ours coaches that I was probably the best linebacker they'd seen all year, and stuff like that. So not only that, I had a couple guys on the team who went to the NFL the next year, kind of were interviewed and asked if, who's the next person on your team to be able to play professional football, and both those guys mentioned my name, and that was kind of surreal for me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm on the path, and other people are seeing it. I'm doing great things. I just got to keep it up.
Yeah. And even though I know you went undrafted in 2011 NFL draft, did you try out for any teams after, and then how did you end up in the CFL?
Well, that's a tough thing. It was 2011 was the NFL lockout, so for me it was a tough process because I was talking to teams. I went to the Cactus Bowl, which is D2 All-American game. I performed very, very well. Teams were kind of blown away. They put me on their radar right away, but we're kind of saying listen, you're probably a late round draft pick or a priority free agent signing right away. So when you get your contact information, and so that was kind of the word. So from there, it was as soon as the NFL draft happened, the NFL went on lockout. There was no ability to be working out for any teams and get signed as a free agent. So the NFL was shut down all the way through mid-August. And, so for me, I decided to take a workout with the CFL and sign with the CFL club with the BC Lions. So just an opportunity for me to get my foot in the door for pro football.
Yeah, and you established yourself well in the CFL. I know you won the Defensive Player of the Year twice, and you're 11-time All-Star, which is their Pro Bowl. What was your career as a BC Lion like?
It was kind of like showing up at camp and nobody knowing who I was. So all of a sudden, people being blown away by the things I was able to do, and quickly rising to Defensive Player of the Year talks. Within my first year of starting as a linebacker. So it was just one of those things that I knew what I was capable of. I just needed an opportunity, and no one was going to outwork me and put more effort into being a better linebacker than me. And that's really what I hung my hat on, was my hard work and my dedication. And, that's really what had gotten me to my professional career. And I just kept working on it. And, so for me, it was just continuing to do the things that had got me where I was, and to really, be able to build a legacy to be one of the best players to ever play the position. And, for me, that's still been a goal of mine as I still play.
Yeah, and then what was your decision in 2017 to go back and try out for the NFL, and then you ultimately ended up on the Saints?
Yeah, so for me, the goal is obviously to get back down to the NFL when I went to the CFL, and it just gets a little bit tricky with contract negotiations and what the CFL allows you to do while you're under contract as far as working out for other teams. And essentially, if you're under a contract, you're not able to work out for anybody. And they kind of make it a little bit tough for you to be able to get a look at the NFL based on how the windows around your option year and all that stuff kind of close. And so I ended up getting an opportunity in 2017, and I had to take it. And, I went down and worked out for the Saints. They loved me. They signed me right away. And, for me, that coming year in 2017 was, a bit of a learning experience for sure. I've heard it from other people. I had to experience it for myself that, sometimes the best players don't always play in the NFL. It's a big business driven by a lot of other things other than, performance. So, that was kind of my experience in a nutshell, was, going in there, performing extremely well, exceeding expectations, being considered one of the best linebackers on the team, but yet not getting to be on the roster and being able to play every single week. So, it was still a great experience for me to go and do. Up until that point in my life, every single thing I've done was, go in there, work extremely hard, prove to them my talent and my consistency. I can do every single play, every single game, and just you earn a spot through your hard work and being able to build trust to the coaching staff. And so that was kind of the first time in my career, in my life, that had never really worked for me. It was that's when I realized that the business of the NFL is just different, and it doesn't play by the set of rules of all the time of, if you're the better player, you're going to play, or, you just, it's measurable, its size, its height, its weight, its what school you went to, what round you were drafted in, what kind of signing bonus you got at the beginning of the season. These are all things that kind of come into play before the fact that, you even get looked at as far as talent.
Yeah, and do you think that's still like an accomplishment to you that you still could call yourself you were in the NFL, like you were an NFL player?
Yeah, absolutely. I played 3 games. I got an accredited season. My teammates were, very big advocates of me as a player. Consistently, let me know that, hey, you're a baller, man. You can play. Just keep doing it. Guys that are pretty well respected in the NFL who respected my game and what I did. And, I put it on film. Anybody can watch my preseason film and look at it and be their own judge. But I'm pretty sure 98% of them would be saying this guy is an outstanding player and killed it. So, that's ultimately to me what the most important thing was. I went down there, I put it on film and proved that I could play at that level. Mentally, physically, and be an every down, excellent, outstanding football player. So I'm very proud of that. And that's why it was easy for me to be able to take to be able to not accept an offer from an NFL team and come back to the CFL. When I was released, Tampa Bay offered me a contract, and, they didn't want to give me the signing bonus I wanted. But I was okay with coming back to the CFL and playing back up here with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So, for me, it's just that's kind of been my road, my experience, and the CFL game's fantastic. It's great football, good talent up here, and there's a lot of guys go from the NFL, come back up here, and vice versa. So. Obviously doesn't have the biggest media following. You don't get paid nearly as much, but you're still playing a professional sport and getting paid to do what you love and having a good time with a bunch of great people.
Yeah, and going back to the Saints, that's how actually we connected on Twitter, because I remember like players tweeting about you, and then you had the nickname the Savage. So how'd you get that?
That's a good question. I was kind of really early in my career there with the BC Lions. And I kind of, I really kind of took it as my mantra. A savage mindset. Someone who will not be told no. Someone who cannot be stopped. Somebody who will not quit until their job was accomplished. Somebody who, no matter how many people are against them, is going to be able to come up over top of everybody and, be a champion. So it's really something for me that was, I've always been an underdog. I've always been somebody who, people never thought would be able to play college football, let alone pro football. So for me, it's a great mantra for me to be able to assume, because of my underdog story and just basically my rise and my willingness to be who I am and do what I do. So many people respect what I do because of they see the work I put in, they see the time I put in, and they recognize that that's special. My process is special. It's different than others. But it's largely due to, my success and being able to be so successful is from, that process.
Yeah, and then I know you kind of touched on it before, but you ultimately went back and you're on the Blue Bombers now, and the first season you're back in the CFL, you won Defensive Player of the Year. So what was that like? Just basically coming back after, I guess, 2 years and then dominating.
Yeah, it was just a great another confirmation that I'm the player that I know I am. I come from the NFL where they say, we're going to go with the other guys and we're going to move on with you. That's just the nature of the business. But I come back to the CFL and immediately get back to doing what I was then doing and win Defensive Player of the Year and just continually improve. I don't play games. I play for keeps. Everything I do is to build my legacy. Everything I do is for my family. I love this game. I've loved this game for my entire life. And, my passion and willingness to put so many things and sacrifice so many things in front of it is just what I've done my entire life because it means so much to me. So, I wouldn't go back and change anything because of, the success I've had.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, sacrifices have to be made to be able to do things you've never done. You got to be willing to do things that other people don't do, and those are the kind of things that make people special. So I've always tried to really the quote I came up with was outwork your competition, so there is none. And that's what I firmly believe in, is that if I outwork you, I put more time in, how are you going to be better than me?
Yeah, and after that, the 2018 season, did more NFL teams reach out to you again?
There was potential. Yeah, I mean, there was a potential to go down for another workout, but it was at that point, going on 29. I was like, you know what? Let me just, sign a long-term deal here in the CFL and just continue to build my legacy here. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm getting paid, pretty well in the CFL as far as pay scale is concerned, and there's very little stress for me as far as like making a team where I know I can contribute up here, and I'm on a solid organization. And sure enough, we go win a Grey Cup this year. It's just those things are, there's a lot of things are more important than just money, and my love for the game and being able to be happy up here kind of proves that.
Yeah, definitely. And what's it like just living in Canada also compared to the U.S.?
Canada, it's a little bit different. I'd say it's pretty multicultural everywhere you go. So it's unique cultural experiences, and ate a lot of different foods that I've never eaten before up here, which was kind of cool. But like the stereotypical Canadians with and just different funny accents. It's you don't really see that too often. Like French Canadians do have like funny accents, but they're more on the eastern side of the country and whatnot. But it's Canada's great. It's a very safe country. You're not worried about a lot of these issues that sometimes we're having in the States, right? Mass shootings and just all these other terrible things that are happening. Those things aren't really happening up in Canada. So you definitely feel a little bit safer up here. Definitely with my family, I can definitely notice that. It's a good place. I mean, I've enjoyed my time up here.
Do you live there full time, or you live in the States when it's off season?
I live here full time now. I live full time in Canada.
Gotcha. And what advice would you give to a young player trying to get like a scholarship to football school or going pro?
Say that one more time for me.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to a young football player trying to get a scholarship to college or trying to go pro?
Yeah. I think the most important thing is realize the things that you have to do on a daily basis to make it. I mean, if you say your ultimate goal is to make it to college and get a scholarship or play professionally, you got to realize that every choice you make every single day reflects, your true willingness of whatever it is you want to achieve. So are you making the right choices every single day that reflect your goals? And those are the things I always challenge people to think about, because, working out 3 times a week isn't going to get it done. Eating not very good food for you and getting terrible sleep isn't going to get it done. Not doing your conditioning is not going to get it done. So you're going to look at yourself every single day and be like, okay, what am I doing to get better today that other people aren't going to do? And you're competing with yourself, obviously, because you've got to be able to tell yourself, I need to go do this, even though I don't have anybody else going to do it with me. You've got to battle yourself, but you got to realize there's other people that want those jobs too. They want those scholarships. So what are you going to do to be different? And at the end of the day, it doesn't take talent to work hard. It just takes you getting your ass up and getting it done. And, for me, that's the way I like it, because I feel like I've gotten what I deserve because I've worked my ass off. And, I feel that meeting so many successful people in my life so far, from business to football to other pro sports, the story is very much the same, people working their ass off.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you're on the board of a charity called Making Faces. So could you touch on that and explain that to the listeners?
Yeah, making fit. I was born with a cleft lip and palate, a facial defect when you're born. 1 in 700 people are born with it, so it's fairly common. But so for me, I grew up with a chip on my shoulder, and I grew up a little bit differently, getting bullied as a kid, stuff like that because I look different than people. So when I became a professional athlete, one of the things I wanted to do was use my platform to be able to give back to the people, and they grew up like me and the people in the cleft community. And so for me, I joined a charity called Making Faces, and Making Faces is all about helping people who have facial differences kind of learn to overcome and live with and cope with that, because one of the biggest things that you see with people with facial differences is they lack confidence, they lack self-esteem, they lack the ability to have eye contact and carry on conversations. They're always going to be the shy one in the room, and for me, I know how important confidence is. I mean, growing up, I still had less confidence than a normal person, but I was able to figure out how to become more confident and be successful. And at the end of the day, we all need to project our confidence, whether you have a facial difference or not, to be able to, really be successful and believe in yourself and in this world. So the charity host workshops to work with people with facial differences to build those skills and share our stories to kind of let everyone know that no one's different than anyone else, and we can all achieve what we want to achieve. So more information will be at www.makingfaces.ca.
There you go. All right, you ready for some fun questions? They're going to go from average to savage.
Sure.
What's your favorite song right now?
Favorite song? That's a great question. You know what? I've been listening to some Skrillex lately.
All right.
It's some nice they have some nice little jam mix-ups with some other artists. So the Skrillex one with Rick Ross, the Purple Lamborghini. I like that one pretty good right now.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. What do you like to do when you're not playing or training for football?
I got 3 kids, so I'm a big family guy. I try to spend as much time as I can with my family, and take my kids to go do fun things and stuff like that. So that'd be probably my next biggest thing I enjoy doing.
Yeah, touching on your kids, do you want them to play football?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind my kids playing football at all. I mean, obviously there's always dangers with playing any sport.
Yeah.
Football is a violent sport, but at the end of the day, I think football teaches people a lot as they grow up and play through a young age through high school, and it builds a great life traits and life lessons that kids need to know to become real young men.
And if you had to do a jersey exchange with someone in football, it could be NFL, CFL, whatever. Who would you want to do it with?
I don't know. Probably. When I was with the Saints, there's a handful of guys. Obviously, getting Drew Brees' jersey would be great. Respect the way he plays as well. But as far as a defender, for me, I played with Cameron Jordan, who's I would say one of the best defensive ends in the entire NFL, obviously in the Pro Bowl this year for the second, multiple times. But he's just such a dominant player that can take over a game whenever he wants to, and super physical, can play the run, can play the pass, and great, phenomenal pass rusher. So he's a guy that I was really impressed with when I was down there, and he's a great guy. So I do a jersey swap with him.
Nice. What about was there any player that you modeled your game after, growing up?
That's a good question. I'd say a little bit probably Brian Urlacher would be a good example. He was an athletic, bigger linebacker that can kind of do it all, and I thought that was pretty special.
Yeah, he was definitely a savage back in the day.
No doubt.
How could the supporters be a savage like you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So currently, right now, I have an online training program that people can do and literally do my exact program that I'm doing. Athlete or regular person, doesn't matter. You can both be doing my program. Athletes can add extra stuff to make it even more challenging, obviously, but this is the work I'm doing right now that'll definitely turn you into a savage. And online coaching every single day of your form, your video. That's part of it. Tons of articles, tons of information, how-to videos on how to do everything. Fully comprehensive, and for probably the best price that you can find on the market of $49.50 a month for the training, right? Average personal training session for one session is $85. So, this is a pretty good deal, I would say. And not only that, I give out my personal number to answer questions for members who need extra help. So, totally committed to helping you become a savage.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and could you let the people know where they can follow you on social media?
Yeah. So on Twitter, it's Bighill44, and on Instagram, it's BigHillA44. So follow me and say what's up, and we'll see you around.